Time for some unpopular opinions. We'll read out some cycling hot takes, debate them, and decide if we agree or disagree. If you start cycling, you should pay the same amount of money for your equipment, helmet, shoes, pedals, dedicated clothes bag, etc. as you do for your bike. Otherwise, you never reach the potential of the bike. That's his unpopular opinion. What do you think?
Nah. Jean shorts if you want. Pair of trainers if you want. Definitely a helmet.
So you're saying if you had like a Pinarello Dogma, whatever the big one is.
Well, then you're into like big money territory, aren't you?
Yeah, well, that's the point he's making.
Yeah, so if you have a bike like that, there's two scenarios.
Yeah.
You're a professional cyclist and you're getting it for free.
And therefore, you're also getting your shoes and helmet and glasses for free.
Or you are astronomically rich.
Yeah.
And it's not even about the bike.
Is there a minimum standard of stuff? Like we would surely, if you're not blessed with being able to ride in jean shorts, which a lot of people aren't, there's like a certain standard of chamois pad, for example. For me,
the minimum requirements are a very, very good helmet for safety reasons, a good pair of sunglasses for safety reasons. This doesn't mean expensive in either of them because you can get both of those things for cheap. Mm-hmm. In my opinion, a minimum of SPD, so mountain bike shoes and cleats that probably aren't the cheapest shoes because they don't want to be too floppy and soft. They want to be stiff enough that you can pass. They want to be stiff enough that you get good power transfer, and probably a good cycling pad or a more padded saddle.
Depends what you're doing. What if you're just riding through town and you 20 minutes to work? Flat pedal.
But we're assuming that isn't what he's talking about.
Pair of Reeboks.
He's saying you should pay the same amount of money for your equipment as you do the bike.
That's absolutely bonkers. Like, it's a $3,000 bike, $3,000 worth of equipment.
Definitely used to be a thing where you'd buy...
Yeah, that's mental, isn't it?
Buy a bike from Evans and then they'd throw you 10% of the value of the bike in accessories.
Yeah.
Really?
And you'd get like a little lock and some lights or things like that. Yeah. Chain lube.
Yeah, I think it probably isn't. When Jimmy's actually just put it into numbers there, $3,000 on equipment seems... do it if you want to do it, but not necessary.
No, it's not necessary at all. Like, you can do it. There is a limit, though. Like, the most expensive helmets are probably like £400-500. The most expensive shoes are a similar figure. The most expensive jersey and shorts is probably 500, 600, £700. So yeah, you can spend thousands of pounds on this stuff, but you don't need to. Lights, good lights are a good investment, definitely.
True.
I think shoes get overlooked a little bit. Once you're getting into the big money bikes and the expensive fast bikes, people will spend loads of money on wheels, but not shoes. Whereas shoes will probably benefit you more.
Why?
Because it's comfort and it's going to stop you from getting injured, and they're
nice.
They're nice.
They're just real nice. No, it's the comfort thing,
the benefit you get, like going from a good alloy wheel to an okay carbon wheel is quite a lot of money. Whereas a shoe, if you spend £150 on a shoe, it's going to be a really good shoe.
Yeah.
There's definitely
you get more benefit from it.
There's the diminishing returns thing, because when I started getting more serious about road cycling, I bought myself a pair of S-Work shoes, which are incredibly expensive, and I just hated them. They were so stiff that they just hurt my feet so much. And I've since bought, they're still not cheap shoes, but I have those Physique, I don't know what sort they are. They've got some Velcro straps on the Velcro strappy ones. So it was I downgraded from carbon, which was carbon sole on this S-Works, to not. I'm pretty sure they're not carbon, and I purposely went for that because the carbon hurt me, and just so much more comfortable. Again, not a cheap shoe, but there's definitely, I feel like, a diminishing returns thing, and also I guess comfort is very subjective, isn't it?
Yeah, I imagine that's more not down to the sole material. It's one shoe fit and one shoe didn't.
Perhaps but this is it. Yeah, just spending money on stuff isn't going to make it necessarily better for you. That's a hard thing.
There's some Physiques that are so expensive that we have here, and they're just not comfortable. So it doesn't matter if they're expensive.
That's the really hard thing about cycling, isn't it? You just have to waste so much money on crap to try.
It is very frustrating. It really is frustrating because, like you're saying, it's a pair of shoes for one person. They'll be like, this is the most comfortable slipper in the world. And for someone else, they'll hate them. Like I've just got, Bont have just sent me a couple of pairs of shoes. So I have like really weird shaped feet and I wanted something that was really wide and flat, but with an arch. So Bont were very kind enough to send me some shoes, and people go on about Bonts being, they're so stiff, they're so uncomfortable. But for me, they are beautiful. They are so comfortable for me.
And that's actually more to do with the fact that they're wide and they have a straight last rather than actually the stiffness.
Exactly that, yeah.
Yeah, fair.
And the same thing applies to, saddles and bike fit and stem lengths and all of these things. It is quite frustrating. It would be kind of cool, wouldn't it, if there was a company where you could just kind of rent stuff.
Yeah.
You knew it was going to show up a bit knackered, but it was an opportunity to try some shoes and you can actually use them, or rent a stem that's a particular length to see if it actually suits you and things like that, rather than having to buy things.
I got new running shoes from a shop in America called Roadrunner Sports. And I'll go, the negative first is that they really try and sell you their own insoles, and then you're locked in to keep buying the insoles every time they wear out, like $20 or something. But the pair of shoes I bought from them, in the transaction, they're like, if you don't like these, within 2 weeks, you can come back and switch them, which I think is a pretty good thing.
They do that quite a lot in the running space.
Yeah.
So there's companies in this country which do it. I think even Runners Need do it in this country. How they're doing it, I don't exactly know. Maybe it's volume, maybe it's...
I think they just count on people won't take them back because they break them in and then they realize they do like a fitting process, which bike shops should also do. I mean, you haven't had a shoe fitting, have you?
Many years ago.
Okay, yeah.
Not in a modern.
And then if someone's, then you have the problem of those staff in the running shop are trained in how to do it. I think, is that the same from bike shops? People just winging it.
Well, everyone's winging it.
Well, everyone's winging it. Yeah.
Everyone's just trying to sell you products.
Yeah. Which is fine if they end up selling you the right thing.
Yes. Yeah. Does it? Atticus has got like a massive returns thing, haven't they?
I think they do like a 100-day guarantee thing now.
Is it
100-day comfort guarantee. Try Atticus kit for 100 days. If it's not the comfiest cycling gear you've ever worn, return it for a full refund. No questions asked.
That is bonkers, to be fair.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't have dared do that.
No, when we owned Atticus, we would never have... like we were confident in it being good, but wow.
Yeah, that sounds like a bad thing to say because we ultimately made the kit. It's not that I don't think the kit is great. It's just like that's a really scary thing to do.
Yes.
But also confident.
So Atticus are a channel sponsor. They don't know that we're going to talk about this, and it isn't in the script. I've literally just pulled it up. However, on the subject of that, you should buy Atticus clothing because there's 100-day, no questions asked
and
return.
we're sponsored.
So if you do want to try kit to know what it's like, buy Atticus. Why wouldn't you? It's got 100-day, no questions asked return. That's mental.
Yeah, genuinely. And I imagine the reason he's doing this, and I get it, is that actually you don't get that many returns in terms of it doesn't work for me. So
because it's good. Because we designed it.
Yeah. Cool. Shall we move on?
Yes, let's.
I've written Toman in Belgium. I think it was Thomas, and I've put it wrong on the sheet.
Oh. It could be Toman.
It could be Toman or it could be Thomas from in Belgium. Says, reading bike reviewers' opinions on how a bike's geometry impacts ride feel is like reading an enologist's opinion on wine tasting. An enologist is a wine specialist. You know,
I didn't know that.
The ones that say, "Oh, this tastes like tobacco."
You're an enologist.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm definitely not. I'm a. Yep, not shit. Give me more. Pour another one.
Yeah, enologist.
Well, no. These are the people which go like, oh, oaked barrels with a hint of cherry vanilla and some rich tobacco coming through afterwards.
It's got legs.
Yeah. I can see why a wine would taste like an oak barrel because it sits in an oak barrel, and I can see why it would taste fruity. And it feels like any other description is BS. How is it tasting like vanilla or strawberries unless they're putting that in?
I don't think one of the tasting notes is bullshit.
Can fill me. Okay. Toman /Thomas says, It's interesting, it sounds smart and educated, and then you experience the product and wonder how on earth this tastes or rides like the description you read. You read things like, for bikes, it has progressive geometry or it's nimble yet feels planted. And for the average person, it's just too overcomplicated. He says, yes, I get if you are given two different types of bikes, a Canyon Air Road versus an Endurance, for example, you'd notice some difference. But if you have two endurance bikes with different chainstay lengths, most of us will likely never be able to tell the difference. He says, I'm in the market for a new all-rounder bike and I'm lost in literature trying to figure out what geometry will fit me.
Yes.
This kind of goes back to our previous point of the problem is things feel different to different people. It's an incredibly difficult thing, isn't
He's
it?
nailed it. The differences are there, but they're not that big.
Yeah.
There's only so different you can make two triangles and two circles
Yeah.
that you sit on.
And the reality is there isn't even that much difference between materials. There is a difference, but I would say from my experience of having ridden an obscene amount of bikes, especially over the last couple of years, it's things like you ride it and you go, this feels comfortable, or I can feel road buzz, I can't feel road buzz. It feels light, it feels heavy. And I know that it sounds ridiculous, but it just does when you ride it. Some bikes you ride, and it, regardless of whether they are heavy or light, they ride in a particular way that feels light and agile, and some ride heavy and sluggish.
You do notice it with the other day we had the Masakan out, an aluminium gravel frame, and your Moss, which is a steel round-tubed bike, road bike, and switching between the two, it's like, whoa, this is a big, big difference. But only because we switched right there. But just jumping on it.
The big difference in that was geometry for me,
Yeah.
not ride feel. They both ride comfortably. It's just one has a massive drop at the front end and the other one doesn't.
What Thomas or Toman is I think saying is all the little changes in geometry. Do you remember Pinarello when we reviewed the Dogma? And they were like, there's 5 millimeters more fork rake. And like people saying they can feel the difference between that.
No
way.
Impossible.
No way. Like it is, and with fork rake, it just adjusts how your body adjusts.
Yeah.
Your brain and body like mesh with the bike after about 5 minutes of riding, and then everything feels the same.
That is the most notable thing of switching all of the bikes that we constantly do is you ride a bike, and if it's different from the one you've been riding most recently, you go, oh, this is different. A few minutes later, it's then meshes it's like integrating with it, like in The Matrix or Ghost in the Shell. You're basically becoming at one with the software. Symbiotic?
What's Venom?
Oh, I don't know.
That?
But that thing, yeah. So you and Venom go together. You do that with the bike, and then you change to another bike, and you go, "Oh, this is noticeably different." 5 minutes later, it becomes the new norm. And you're just like, "Yeah, okay, this is cool."
Back to your point about the frame material and ride feel. How many road bikes have I reviewed recently, and they're all 32 mil tire clearance or 35 mil tire clearance, and the tires are getting bigger and softer and squishier, and it's like then you really can't know. It's just what you're just reviewing how the tires feel.
But that's good information, I think, to a watcher, a reader, whatever it is. I think that actually still, if you go, I reviewed these 5 bikes and I can't tell a difference, that is useful information.
Well, you can tell a difference, but it's just not a very big difference. And there's other factors, like that's why we changed the wheels. So at least there's a little bit of consistency.
You have your house wheels.
Yeah, have the house wheels on. But then the tires, if we didn't pump them up as much that day, that's the biggest difference. It's all about the tires, especially with the gravel stuff now. It's like you just want that sweet spot of the right pressure, and then any frame is going to feel real good.
It's why we basically bank on about you being comfortable on the bike, because if you are comfortable, you're going to be able to ride it. And then the other thing is that you look at the bike and you want to ride it.
Exactly.
Those are the two important things.
And I think actually what it boils down to is there isn't going to be one best bike for Thomas. Probably. It's probably that there's lots of ones that are all going to be pretty good. And therefore it actually just comes down to like your choice, whichever you know what I mean? I think you can almost get bogged down in, well, which is going to be the best. But again, it comes back to, it's really difficult spending so much money on a bike when a lot of the time you don't get to test ride it. Like, it's such a flawed system.
Someone's going to, like, I rode the Pinarello. Just use this as an example. I rode the Pinarello. It had the length stem on that they recommend for that size. It's like 100 mil stem. Someone watching this who is less flexible than me could be like, oh, I really want that Pinarello. Like they said that was a good bike. Buy it. Find out that they have to run a 60 mil stem. With that head angle, that bike is then going to ride completely different. Completely different. And it's just like, how do we get that across? And that's the challenge of making a first look. Even though it's not a full long-term review, I want to at least get that across. And that's a work in progress, it always is.
It is. I think probably the reason that you end up with phrases like, it has progressive geometry, it's nimble yet feels planted. You end up with that in reviews. And he's talking about typed reviews. I think number one, it's priming. I think that a lot of these bikes come with press releases that will say, it's like a marketing spiel, and it will, it'll include facts, but then it will include opinion dressed up as fact or whatever. And actually the hardest part of any reporting job is being able to cut out the bullshit, find out what's relevant, and actually repackage it for the audience that you're speaking to. And I'm not saying that these people aren't doing it, but I think you're primed. If something says, it's progressive geometry, it's nimble, then you go, oh yeah, it is. Oh yeah, I feel that actually. In the same way if you say, oh, this wine's strawberry, you go, yeah, I feel it. And also, they have to fill their, I don't know, I think a video review is so much more beneficial because you get to speak to people in a very conversational way. Whereas if you were writing down, oh, I don't know, I don't feel a difference. You can't say that in every single review that you write. It's a very particular job, is reviewing a bike. And I know that I couldn't do it because I can't feel a difference between anything.
But that's the reality.
Yeah.
They are very similar.
Most customers are like you.
Yeah. But also I haven't ridden much stuff. I just ride carbon.
Nothing wrong with that.
Well, this is it.
Maybe
I'm like a frog or a lobster who's like in a hot pot and doesn't realize that they're slowly getting boiled to death. As in, like, I'm incredibly uncomfortable on my bikes and I know that, but I'm not doing anything about it. And I'm just so used to the discomfort that it just feels like the norm. And maybe I could be better on something else, but I'm not going to go out and buy.
James always says he's a Bike Fit James. It still surprises him how happy people are to be in pain, how tolerant they are, and how they will still go through it in order to ride a bike. Yeah. That's how good riding a bike is.
Totally.
This is awesome.
And I know that I only really enjoy rides where I've got other people with me, and I think it's because it's a distraction from discomfort.
It doesn't have to. Have you got your fit?
I've got my fit on the June.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. Maybe I shouldn't say that out loud in case someone comes.
Oh, no.
I got
my phone man.
I've got my bike fit some point in June. Date not disclosed. So yeah, perhaps I'll come back and I won't have my physique shoes and I won't have my this and my that and my other that I always thought was comfortable. But you don't know until you
know. Yeah.
So what we saying about this? Bike reviewers are bullshit, basically, is what they're saying.
Well, in most cases they are bullshit. Probably what I would say to people, which I always say about most things, is go and experience it. At the end of the day, you can use reviews, but then discount brands that you can't try.
Yeah.
So would you buy a car just off of like reading about it, having not driven it, having not seen it in the flesh? Probably not. The same should probably apply to bikes. If you don't have the opportunity to go and ride a bike and actually give it a go and ride it like for more than just 30 seconds around the block, you want to be taken out for a couple of hours on a proper bike ride or whatever is a typical ride for you. You should be trying it on that. And if someone says no, go, right, okay, well, I'm going to discount that brand then.
Another reason why bike shops were so great, having a demo fleet.
Exactly, yeah. And the reality is a lot of bike brands do have demo fleets that they use for marketing purposes. And I wouldn't be surprised if one of their distributors or one of the companies that sell those bikes would be able to access that if needs be. Because at the end of the day, if you're buying a bike that's costing a lot of money, if you go to a bike shop that sells them and go, I want to try this bike, they're going to try and facilitate that. And if they can't, don't buy it. It's their loss. Ride stuff. See what you like.
Do you have an unpopular opinion? We want to hear it. Send yours to wildonespodcast@cademedia.co.uk and you might feature on a future episode.